Mo, come roll with me. And we go over there
Can you
and
hear me all right?
stand behind and product knowledge, smoking cigars with people, all that good
Give me a
stuff.
thumbs up if
Like,
you can hear me.
you missed this. Like, dude, this is my start. Forget about the classes and everything else that we've done. This is where it started for me. Like, holy shit. I can relate. That's how I am with a Philly or First Lounge. Always gonna be my lounge. Not mine technically, but the first lounge I managed. Got all my certifications and everything in there.
Can you hear me now, Hayseed? Can't hear? Give me 1 second. I need you to be on that microphone. Either one of you on that microphone.
Lean in.
Talk.
This one right here?
Either one, yeah.
Okay.
You got 3 people watching. All right. Just
Brought to you today by Quaver Cigar. Have you ever had Quavers? Have I?
You've had Cuevas, yes.
I've had Quavers. Solid cigar.
Casa Cuevas Cigars.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Can you hear us now,
For
Hayseed?
years, it was only, like I said, when I hit Miami, around family and friends and people who work for family, that I would see them. Because nobody up north, D.C., Maryland has them.
Right.
Smoke that cigar, man. You like a crackhead. Just for the consistency.
Yeah.
Damn. Why every cigar
Can
don't
you
give
hear
me
us?
this?
Yeah.
Every cigar, they don't put their feet in it, man.
Right. What all
AJ do it too.
Yeah. Fuente,
Fuente do it too.
Perdomo, Oliva.
Lito Gomez, LFD.
Yeah.
Consistency is so key.
Oh, we got the bourbon. Can you hear me now? I don't know why your channel is the only one that's
Static.
static. Check, check. Can you hear us now? Nope, you still can't hear nothing? I wonder what the deal.
We're doing a test right now, guys. Still no sound.
All right, talk, Tom. That's the chat.
Can everybody hear us all right? Attention, Jukes and Smokes shoppers. Can you hear us?
Tell them to give you like a thumbs up or something.
If you can hear my infamous voice, give us a thumbs up in the chat.
Unique Beats LLC. Unique Beats LLC.
Oh, that's what it's under. I'll put Jukes Smokes in and then pull it up.
Well, I haven't made our own account yet. I'm
Oh,
just
okay.
looking at
It's on his Unique Beats YouTube.
Okay. That's fine.
We're still trying to get sound right now. They can't hear us in the chat.
What if he is you what?
Just go to
Okay,
YouTube.
He says yes, he can hear you.
You can hear me now?
What's the number?
It's go to YouTube and type in Unique Beats and look for his logo, the green.
Yeah, we played 3 years. I've got that same, so we can Bluetooth together. I got the flip.
Yep.
You want to do that?
Okay.
All right, while you're doing that, I'm going to run to the office a minute.
Fly me to the moon. Let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring's like on Jupiter.
I don't know how to put it together.
Hold my
By the way, I'll probably have to unpair mine instead of my phone. Right?
fill my heart with song and let me sing forevermore. You are all I long for, all I worship and adore.
I don't know why Tom is so static.
What's the first one? Figure out.
Should have brought the big board.
Well, we can do that next time. Figure out where to put it.
Then if we brought it, you would have been like, damn, I ain't gonna need all this.
It's just a matter of where to put it. Put like right over there behind it.
Awesome. Appreciate you. Give us something.
I've got you. I've got you.
Sweet. That's what we like.
So deep in my heart that
Did
you're
it work?
really a part of me.
Need the aux cord.
I've got you.
What do you mean?
You have an aux cord,
Auxiliary cord.
the auxiliary.
I tried
Connect
so
two speakers.
Oh,
not to give
Yeah, that's what we need
Type
for
C
that.
to Type C.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they paired together. Like, let me see the little one.
never will go.
They won't allow you to pair because this is not the dominant.
I thought that's what.
Should I try to resist?
Oh,
I
we
did
need
too.
two
Yeah.
flips.
Mhm.
Know so well. I've got you.
Up there with us.
We'll set that up there on the table by our microphones where they can hear it. But
I'd sacrifice
Where are they?
anything,
we'll just keep it
come
playing.
what might,
As we start
for the
talking, you
sake
can turn it
of
down.
having you near.
Mhm.
In spite of a warning voice, comes a night and repeats. Use your mentality. Wake up to reality.
Well, I don't have so much.
But each night that I
It's probably the ground.
makes me stop before
Hey,
I
Hasey,
begin.
do you hear a bunch of static on your end? You hear it all? You hear the static and everything?
Could it do that? Turn that off.
No.
Let the music.
It's fine.
Let the music. The music is overfilling your voice. We got it on back there.
Is it?
Yeah.
So the music is.
Yeah.
All right, we'll just cut that out for now until I get a bigger board.
Go back and tell me what you. Can you hear it now?
Yeah. Talk now.
Appreciate you guys all tuning in. We are live here at Whiskey and Sticks. We're going to go ahead and get started here in just a few minutes. We got a special guest sitting in with us, Lynn
Edwards,
Edwards. Lynn
a
Edwards.
jack of all trades.
It was right next to the microphone. You
Yeah.
right.
We're good now.
Some static. Okay. We'll get that fixed.
Well, bear with us. I've got some static on my end, apparently, ladies and gentlemen. So we'll fix that next time around.
All right, we're going to go ahead and get started.
You're tuned in to Jukes and Smokes, where the whiskey burns, the blues run deep, and the stories don't pull punches. Hanging with Mo Parker and Tom T, and we're here to light up smoke, spin tunes, and share the life that plays by no one's rules. Welcome to the ride.
And I think it was. They came in with all these.
Grandiose ideas.
Yeah. Oh, we're gonna limit this. We're gonna limit this, and then they just let everything just hit the wall. If you're gonna do it, do it. You be consistent with it.
Appreciate you all tuning in. We are live here from Whiskey and Sticks. I got Tom T to my left. Your guys is right. We got Mo to my right. I'm Parker, and our special guest is Lynn Edwards. We're going to have a few different guests come in and sit with us today. This is our first podcast, so today we're going to talk a little bit about cigars, some music, is just day-to-day life. That's it.
Hey, Mo.
He's like, we're smoking Cuevases tonight.
That's right.
So, for those of you who don't know, we're going to smoke Casa Cuevas cigars tonight. Started with them about a year ago. Became a sales representative, sales manager, and now a national sales manager. So some of the sponsors that'll be for this podcast will be Casa Cuevas cigars and Atomic cigars. Casa Cuevas has been in the industry, Mo, for about 25 years.
At least.
Has blended and rolled cigars for multiple companies, provided tobacco. Casa Cuevas cigars started in the 19th century by Juan Cuevas Sr., and I'm sure if Lewis is listening, he's going to correct me on this later if I mess it up. But needless to say, the Cuevas family started in the 19th century in Spain. They came to Cuba, was one of the first farmers to actually start growing in Cuba. And then his son started rolling and had farms and factories in Cuba. Of course, as we know, in late 40s, early 50s, the Castro and the administration started coming in and taking over the farms. Is that better?
Get him closer.
Get them closer. So I was just told the Mic wasn't close enough. I've never thought I'd hear that because my voice is so loud. I never thought I'd be
Absolutely.
told that. And the guy that told me that just flipped me off because he's known me my whole life. What I was saying is the Cuevas family started the 19th century in Spain, was one of the first people to start growing in Cuba. The family was there for many, many years, and as the Castro administration came in, started forcing them out. They went to Dominican Republic, and then they decided, for whatever reason it was, not to do it anymore. And then Louis Jr. went to his dad, Louis Sr., and said, look, I want to get back in the industry. So they formed a factory in Santiago, Dominican Republic. And then, of course, our headquarters is in Miami, which Mo will agree with me, just about every tobacco headquarters is in Florida, either Miami,
Absolutely.
Tampa, Ybor City. And then, of course, we do have one that is in Orlando, which I don't mind shouting out because he's a very dear friend of mine, and hopefully we get him to sponsor, is Don Z, who is a Cordoba de Moreales, which is another great gentleman out of Cuba, roller. But today we're going to be smoking the Casa Cuevas Presionado. It is a Habano, Nicaraguan, Dominican, Pennsylvania broadleaf, and Colombian. So you get a nice, good blend. The great thing about what I have learned about, because I didn't know that Colombian could be put in cigars, and Mo, you maybe back me up a little bit. One thing about Colombian tobacco is if you have a cigar that has Pennsylvania broadleaf with a lot of pepper, that Colombian has a tendency to mild that cigar out.
Dumb it down.
It dumbs it down a little bit. So if you're a smoker, and we do have a Coralán Maduro. So if you happen to see that in a lounge and you want to try Cuevas and your Maduro, I recommend trying the Maduro because it does have Colombian in it, and of course it'll tone down that pepper and spice. It's still gonna have a little bit of spice to it, but not like your normal San Andreas Maduro would. That
Right.
Colombian's gonna tone that down, and Mo is pretty much. Mo, I think you've smoked everything Casa Cuevas has, correct?
Yeah, pretty much. It definitely, like I was sharing with you guys, Cuevas, it's always been about consistency. You know, living for years in the DC area, we didn't have a lot of, we didn't have vendors up there that carried. So I was able to, when I got down to Miami, my old business partner, Tobacco Kennedy, he would always take me in and give me the cigars I needed, and that was one of them, man. Just very consistent stick.
Put that microphone up into your face a little bit. You can take it
Oh, they
off that
want-
stand if you
Oh,
want.
I got to put it, man. See, I'm not used to that, cause I got the lungs behind me, bro.
Well,
Usually
normally,
I'll put the levels off on crazy, but yeah, that's my take. You know, with Cuevas over the years has always been a very consistent stick for me, and I appreciate the work and dedication that those guys have put into it and getting back into the industry. Because sometimes when you lose, it's hard to come back, but it looked like they come back.
Well, and as you know, Mo, the great thing about the Cuevas family, it's a 5-star legacy. So if you look
Yeah.
at our Reserva and you look at our logo, when you go into shop, you see our sign, it has 5 seals on it. Those 5 seals go all the way back to Spain. When I was talking about Luis Cuevas Sr., or Juan Cuevas Sr., rather, sorry. It's the 5 seals, the Spanish seal, the Cuban seal, the Dominican Republic seal, and the 5th seal you see is Alec Lewis, or Alec Cuevas, who is Lewis Jr.'s son, who is now the 5th generation roller of the Casa Cuevas family. A 5-star legacy, 5 generations of blenders and rollers with Casa
You
Cuevas.
don't hear that a lot. You don't hear that a lot at all. 5th generation.
5th generation.
5 generations of rollers and blenders now.
So what do you think of that there, Lynn? Do you think the Cuevas cigar is a good cigar?
So the only time I've had it, so I'm happy to say I'm new to the Cuevas family,
Mm-hmm.
is from Tom. Tom has been a huge ambassador for this brand and this label, and anytime you brought them in, they've been great. He seems to always bring them in at a really good time. We're looking at something memorable. We're talking about something memorable.
Yeah.
And so it fits right in. And great flavor all the way through from what I remember. I'm excited about smoking this one as well tonight. And but it's cool to hear all the experience around it. It's
Right.
hear all the history around it. And I'm excited to get into it.
So, Lynn, while we got you on the microphone, one of the biggest things that in the cigar industry that Mo and we've done on the podcast we've been on over the years, just in general conversation, can you remember the first cigar that you ever smoked? And if you can, what was it?
I absolutely can. Interestingly enough, I just had my third son.
Mm-hmm.
He was born February 2nd, 2000. Lynn Edwards II, but we call him LJ.
Very
And
nice, very nice.
a good friend of mine brought me over a Punch Champion,
Mm.
the Torpedo. And it was one of the spiciest cigars I've ever.
Right on your chin, wasn't it?
That's right. Man, I'm talking about, I think that was my first introduction to just the different undertone flavors of a cigar, but also the fact that the wrapper, I don't know if it was the wrapper or if it was the actual leaf, but it was extremely spicy.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a history from him just on the cigar, why it was spicy.
Mm-hmm.
I learned then that whatever you grow in that earth finds its way into the tobacco.
Absolutely.
And so I probably smoked Punch Champions for probably the first 2 years because it was spicy, it was intriguing, it was overwhelming at first, and then I just grew into loving it.
Right.
Only to realize that there are like so many more cigars to be smoked after that, but that definitely was my first one.
All right. All right.
So, Mo, what was your first cigar? Can you remember back that far, or at least go back as far as you can remember?
He's probably been smoking since he's been in diapers.
No, not quite that far back. The first cigar I had was gifted to me, and it was a Fuentes. One of those evenings out there in Camp Pendleton, Marine Corps base in San Diego. Brother gave me a Fuentes, and I really enjoyed it. Fast forward a few years, I really didn't know a whole lot of people who smoked cigars personally. So I had this guy. He's a professional football player. Rest in peace, Orlando. Really miss that guy. He was a good guy. Many of you guys may remember him. He was a offensive lineman for Cleveland, and one of the referees threw their flag and tore his retina.
Oh, wow.
And he ended up suing the league. Ended up leaving Cleveland and going and playing with Baltimore.
Okay.
So that's when I caught up with him out there in Baltimore, and we sitting on the yacht, and this guy come up and said, "All right, man, I need y'all to smoke with me." Now remember, I'm fresh out the Fuentes. Talking about a nice mild to medium stick. This guy brings the darkest, most oily stick I've ever seen in my life. And I'm saying, who the hell gonna smoke that? So everybody's laughing like, come on, man, we gotta do this. It was a Partagas Black.
Oh, wow. Wow. Yeah, I've seen
It's a great cigar.
Ooh.
And we out there and the sun is shining on the yacht, waving. Ate very little that day, drank very much that day.
Let me guess, you were feeding chum to the fish in the
Listen.
ocean,
Hook, line, and sinker.
catching Ralph that day, huh?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But that was the day I said, yo, yeah, I'm in it for the long haul.
Now, Parker, I've asked you this before, and you say you can't remember, but go back, like I told Mo, go back as early as a cigar or that you smoked that just really caught your attention, and not recently the My Father Blue. You got to go back a little bit further than
Yeah,
that.
I'll go back. I'll go back. Now I remember as a young kid, teenager, fishing with my grandfather and my dad, and my grandfather didn't smoke cigars; he chewed them like chewing tobacco. So his favorite was, back in the day, was just like a gas station Swisher Sweet, but he don't chew those now. He chews, I'm not sure. It's I knew he'd ask me. I can't remember, but it's kind of about this size. But what he does, he just bites the end of it off and sticks the rest of it in his pocket, and then chews it like chewing tobacco. And he's done that ever since I could remember. He would
There's a
rather
lot-
chew on them and then smoke them.
There's a lot of people that do that.
George
Man.
Burns, for years, smoked all the way up till he passed. He smoked,
12, 15 cigars a day.
yeah. Which I'll tell a funny story about that in a sec. But when theaters started to say you can't smoke in auditoriums anymore on stage, if you noticed, when George would pull a cigar out, it looked like it had been through a cheese grater or something. That's because he was so used to having that. It was like his prop.
Yeah.
So he would sit there on stage and he would be chewing on that cigar so he'd get that tobacco flavor. And then when he was done, he'd go into the green room or go outside if weather was nice, and he'd finish that cigar. A funny story is he was on stage with Jack Benny one time, and his cigar fell out of his mouth and it rolled off stage. And Jack looks at him and says, "What are you doing?" And he says, "I'm looking for my cigar." He says, "Why? It's been all over the stage." He goes, "My teeth are still in it."
That's right.
Another great one about George is he was on Johnny Carson. And Johnny actually asked George Burns how many cigars he smoked a day, which you heard Mo said he smoked anywhere between 12 to 20 cigars a day. So Johnny actually looked at George and said, "What does your doctor think about that?" And George looks at him and says, "He's dead or unalived. He's no longer here." He's like, and Johnny about falls out of his chair. So one thing I want to bring up, Mo, before we got started, brought up something, and I don't know if y'all could see his shirt, but Mo, I want you to, we know you're from Marine. Thank you for your service. We greatly appreciate that. But tell us a little bit about what you were talking to Parker earlier about the logo on your shirt and what you
Oh.
do.
This is a
Pull that microphone up to your face there so they can
kind of
hear
near and dear to me. The shirt is from a group, and I liken it to a military, police, first responder fraternity, but it's called Smoking Shields. I was a sitting VP in the Maryland chapter, the second chapter that opened, the first being NYPD. But there's so many officers, military, firemen that lost their lives in the course of duty, and we certainly can't bring them back, but try to bring a little normalcy and some help to the families when they do pass. But I saw the shirt as I was doing laundry, and I love it. I love it. Just remember all the good times and the hard times that we went through. So shout out to Smoking Shields. There's chapters all over now. We were the first couple, but they're in Florida, they're in Texas, they're everywhere around now.
That's great, Mo. Appreciate you sharing that with us. And of course, the great thing about cigars, and Lynn's learned this, hanging out in lounges here recently, especially here at Whiskey and Sticks. But the main reason I got to smoking cigars was, I wanted to try it out, but the reason I kept doing it is I found out it doesn't matter what walk of life you are. And I know Parker said we're going to leave this as it is. Whether you're independent, Republican, Democrat, Laotian, black, white, it doesn't matter where you come from. Female, male, you can sit in a lounge and there is no judgment, and you meet people from all walks of life, and you become
Absolutely.
friends, and you share the camaraderie with everyone. And that's why the brotherhood and the sisterhood of the leaf is so great. So if you're sitting at home smoking a cigar and you want to meet different people, I recommend you go to your local brick and mortar and have a cigar with people, and you'll meet people that you've never met before.
So we got the members here in the back room, and they're chiming in on the chat. All right.
They're telling me to shut up.
So Val's like, when did you shift from occasional to a ritual?
Occasional to as a ritual smoking cigars.
I guess. What do you mean by that, Val? But yeah, I do want to give a shout out to the military. I know Lynn was in the military as well.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
the
Army?
Army.
Army.
And the owner of Whiskey and Sticks, he was in the Marines.
Ooh,
Well, that tells you where Mo is Marine as well.
So I didn't serve, but I was a firefighter for 13 years.
you were in
Moved
the
to, moved to Murfreesboro, and I ran for the county here in Rutherford County and Murfreesboro City, and I just couldn't compete against the 20-year-olds. So,
Facts.
but oh, casual smoke. I was wanting you to type it in the chat.
She just ran in here to tell us.
She sure did.
Yeah. She wanted to get up close and personal and tell
That's
us
right.
right to our faces.
That's right.
We'll have to get her up here in a minute. But no, a big shout out to all the military personnel, current, still serving veterans, first responders. You know, big shout out to them.
So
we couldn't do what we're doing without them.
Yeah,
So.
and I can say this: I was not in the military either, but I come from a very, very all-around military family. My dad's father was in the U.S. Army Air Corps. Actually saw battle, was in Munich, Germany the day after World War II ended on ground infantry. He wanted to be a pilot, but they told him, I can't remember if his legs were too short or his arms too short, but they told him that he wasn't going to fit in a plane. So it worked. I mean, he would have preferred to be in a plane, but not that it worked out because it was a horrible time in World War II, but they needed ground infantry. So, and then my other grandfather was also in the Air Force, and then my father was National Guard Armed Reserves during Vietnam, and I have a cousin who was in the Air Force. You never retire, but he was in it, became a major in the Air Force and served as an instructor during 9/11 out of Wichita Falls, Texas.
All right, Pops. Appreciate your service.
Very much so. Very much so.
Yeah.
This is we're getting into the very very intimate part of this podcast, pairing. I am a pairing fanatic. There's nothing more. You know, Val was asking, when do you start smoking, kind of hit and miss, and then really start getting into it? When I realized that there were 7 million cigars and 7 million bottles that you could put with them. Pairing is some of the funnest stuff that you can do. I love it. Love it. Trying out new things and testing your palate. Think I'm on the which one did I do?
The Del Weenie.
The Dalwini.
And I ended up grabbing some that I brought with me, which is the Chattanooga whiskey. It's the straight bourbon 91.
So here at Whiskey and Sticks, a lot of us like Scotch. So me being Scottish,
Well, I mean,
this is the Scotch house.
This is
Hey.
Scotch House for real.
I do like a Scotch. Don't get me wrong,
Mm-hmm.
but I wanted to do some bourbon today. That way we have a all-around board: Scotch, bourbon, cigars.
So we're kind of winging this today, honestly, to be honest. You know, about 2 weeks ago, we were sitting here and we were like, we need to do a podcast. Tom and I has been talking about it for a few months
Mm-hmm.
and never put anything together. Mo was sitting in the circle with us, you know, just a couple weeks ago, and we started throwing the logos and everything together, and then
Listen, we're sitting
now we're
here,
just-
a couple of games on the television. They're talking about doing the podcast. So I'm listening to him, but I'm kind of watching TV. I'm like, all right, this is gonna go left in a moment. The price of cheese is about to go up. Then
Mo,
he sat and made they started doing the little icons and stuff, and he sent it to me. I said, what the hell? He just made that while we were sitting here watching the game.
Wow.
And then it's like, is Monday good for you? What Monday?
I was like, I'm in.
I'm in.
Which
I'm in.
I'm glad to have Mo on the podcast with. Of course, Parker, you as well, because you've done some podcasts and have a studio right up the road here, Unique Beats, and do your own show every so often. But how I got to know Mo is we used to be on when I first started the industry. When I was a brand ambassador for Gurkha cigars, and I really started getting into it and learning about it. I was getting on a lot of different podcasts on different social media, and that's actually how I met Mo. So, Mo, tell us a little bit about your tobacco industry background and how you got, because you own some shops and did different things, some festivals. So, tell us a little bit about that.
Um, I went like most, just started in the brick and mortar, learning the business. Um, the owner, James Price at Affilion, he was very strong on us being certified. So many of you may have seen the courses that you could take of tobaccology. Um, that was like the most complete thing at the time. So I was able to earn a few certifications, retail certifications, management, and this and that. So, um, but the hunger grew, and it was nothing that the boxes could teach me anymore. You know, so I have, like I said, some of the guys, like one guy I teamed up with on his team, and we ran Black Smoke Miami, a cigar festival in Miami for 8 years. Um, and I will tell you, in the early times, the thought was that we would just do these festivals, just keep them going. Man, 8 years, that was a lot of work, and a, kind of a mixed feeling now, because as we sit here now in February, this would be like a weekend that we would be in Miami for our 5-day festival. You know, 5,000 people there, um, just filled. I mean, it was nothing like it, really was. But what it did for me was allow me to meet and greet these visionaries. You know, the Jose Blancos and the Carlito Fuentes and Lito Gomez. These guys, LFD, and you know, when you sit in a neutral brick and mortar with these guys, and at this point, they're just smoking cigars. They're not that visionary. They're just smoking cigars. But they're just giving me all this information. And I remember my head just being swollen with information. Everyone does things a little different. You'll see things a little different. Even going down, have you ever been to a farm,
Yeah, I
a
have.
cigar farm?
Yeah.
Many people haven't. I would implore everyone, if you haven't done it, do it. From the seedling to the rolling, you're learning everything. I mean, some stuff you're just like, why in the world we have to do this? Walking in and you step in this little thing of water, clean your shoes. So you're not tracking bacteria back and forth. There's a lot of little stuff. But once you go through a few of those tours, you really become kind of one. And it just the hunger just kept going with me, and I'm one of those guys. No matter what, we're out at CPA, um, out in Vegas, and it's okay to sit out there with a lot of those guys. A lot of them, I'll sit there and just listen to them. Um, what's my guy's name from Dunbarton?
I know you're talking about. I can't place the name right now myself, but I know you're talking about.
Steve Saka.
Yes. Saka Squatch.
He is like he's a mad scientist when it comes to cigars, because most of his cigars are very complex. You were talking about the punch that you had. That's not normal. Where they give you all those nuances in that cigar, and your cigar moves. It was this, now it's here, now it's here. And you just like, oh my God. And you sitting at the front of your seat on every move and turn. Those are the beautiful things, But when you're able to just sit and just listen and learn, and regardless of how long we've been in, near, with the cigar industry, we don't know everything. So I was sitting next to Eric Espinosa and his father would spit some stuff at me. I'm like, holy crap, I never knew that. And he's one that chews on his cigar. And I'm just sitting there watching him. How's he chewing on his cigar? He's getting the same flavors and notes that you are about smoking.
Yeah, I don't necessarily like tasting it and chewing on it. I mean, I'll chew on the end of it, a little bit when it's in my mouth. But, I mean, a lot of times my grandpa would slobber on his if he was to smoke it and, like, lick it and everything so it'd burn.
See, but that was old school, though. We didn't have a whole lot of, like, the Bovita packs, stuff like that, right? So when I see guys in lounges now, they pull their cigars out, and this is listen.
Big fupa.
Listen. You pull your cigar out.
There you go. There's one.
Then you get the licking all over your cigar. Hey, Mo, can I use your cutter? No, sir, you may not. You may not.
Or, Mo, what they'll do is they'll be in a lounge and they'll grab a cigar and then they'll, like you said, lick the whole thing, and then they'll go to that house big cigar cutter that everybody has, and they'll go cut their cigar.
It's like, dude, that is so unsanitary. Like, why are you licking the cigar? Oh, well, you have to moisten it. No, you don't. That's what the Bovita pack's for. That's for what humidification is. Old school, they used to pack them in wooden boxes, and there was no humidification. So for those purposes, those guys used to grab their sticks and, like, you had to wet them so you didn't put a fire to them and it just poof.
And another thing you've probably noticed when you go into lounges nowadays, and Mo and I were actually talking about this a couple of weeks ago, we were getting the podcast together. You may notice that when you go into lounges, some older gentlemen that have been smoking for a while, they will go, before they put it either in their humidor in the lounge, or if you go to their house, they'll say, go grab a cigar. You'll see cigars that'll look just like this out of the cellophane.
Yep.
And then you'll go to someone else's recently, and they'll have the cigars in their cellophane. The reason is, back in the day, cellophane was not, now it's plant-based, but old cellophane, the reason they would take it out is because after it aged in the humidor, the cellophane over time would get into the cigar, and you start to have that taste.
You just taste it.
So now cellophane is made plant-based, so it purates and aerates through that cellophane a lot better. And I saw this, you may have seen this, our good friend of ours who hopefully will get on the podcast one of these days, she may be watching, I don't know, is the Cisco kid, Melanie Cisco. She was on a podcast out at PCA with some gentlemen who actually make these cellophanes, and he was actually saying that technically you could actually, he said, I wouldn't recommend it, but you could take that cellophane off and smoke it.
Yeah.
Because it's plant-based. He said, I wouldn't recommend you do it, but it's plant-based now, so you don't have to worry about taking your, but even still, a lot of guys, they're used to that, so when they get home or before they buy them, cabinet and their humidors in the lounge, they'll sit there by a trash can and take them all the cellophane and then put them back in the box or in their trays and put them in the humidor.
Why do I want to smoke plastic?
That's what well, nobody wants to. He was just trying to be, he was being sarcastic because it's plant-based, which this is a plant also. He was being more sarcastic.
So our members are chiming in again. And Val is saying, have you ever ruined a cigar with the wrong drink?
I haven't, because, and the reason I say this is a shout out to Juan Lopez of the Vice President Gurkha.
Oh yeah.
During the pandemic, a lot of people were not allowed to go to lounges because in a lot of states, lounges, some lounge, look, we were lucky here in Tennessee to where our leadership said you cannot have people sitting in there, but you can have them come in and do grab and go.
Yep.
You could still be open. You just can't have people sitting in there. A lot of places, they weren't allowed to do that. So Gurkha got this great idea, and a lot of other companies did it too, where they did a HERF. So you get on through Zoom, which made Zoom popular during the pandemic. I said, grab any cigar. You don't have to be Gurkha. Just grab a cigar. Come hang out with us. Grab your favorite drink. And there's this one guy in there, and he didn't have a drink. And Juan looks at him and says, why don't you have a drink? He goes, I can't drink alcohol. And Juan says, grab you a Dr. Pepper. Grab you a tea. It doesn't matter what you drink, because if you go to a lot of tastings, and Mo will attest to this too. As a matter of fact, all of us have got a cigar. So what you can do is you take your cigar, take a puff on it, and then you take your drink, take a sip of your drink, swish it around a little bit, get it in your profile, and then take your cigar and smoke your cigar. It doesn't matter what you're drinking. That's why when you go to a lot of tastings, cigar pairings, not only will they have bourbon, but you'll see like chocolates and nuts on the table. It's just like a wine tasting.
Yep.
By you putting those nuts and chocolate, it changes your palate. So no matter what you drink, that cigar is going to taste different with whatever you drink or whatever you're eating. So to answer Val's question, I can't say that the only time I think I've ever really ruined a cigar, and I didn't really ruin it, but my taste buds were pretty bad, is I was at a buddy of mine's house who didn't know anything about bourbon, whiskey, or tequila, or anything, and he had some of them. I mean, it was worse than club vodka. I don't know what it was. It was not even club. It was the most rot gut. I don't know where he got it. He must have got it somewhere illegal off the port or something, or somebody poured it to where the worm either wasn't quite ripe enough in there. But I tasted that tequila, and I went to smoke that cigar, and it was about like I've had the same story where you caught Ralph out on the ocean. I about felt like that, where I was praying that I either turned green, because it was pretty bad.
Are we talking about vomit, Ralph? Like, no.
Yeah, pretty much. That's the clean way to say it. Like you go out deep sea fishing. So there's a gentleman sitting in here that has been a friend of my family for years. I won't call him out by name, but I went deep sea fishing with my brother for the first time. And my brother, he took a picture of me on the boat. And this gentleman commented on the picture, says, Thomas doesn't look very happy. I mean, is everything okay? My brother being respectful, he kind of wanted to comment on there what really happened. So I got back, and this gentleman said, so why were you not looking well? And I was like, well, it was my first time out deep sea fishing. And the water going out in the ocean, Mo, you won't believe this. It's like my grandfather and my dad were like a blessing. The ocean was like being on a lake. Like it was just perfect clear, no waves. But what got me is going out of the intercoastal, going into the lake, the water coming in on the bar, all that got me. And then my brother said, well, it's not just that, but when you get out there, there's nothing to see. So your mind, equilibrium makes you sick.
Yep.
So that's what happened. I ended up catching Ralph. My brother said, I kind of wanted to stay out there and go fishing because Thomas was so deep seasick that I didn't have to put any minnows or any bait in the water. There was plenty of bait in the water.
Well, you said you couldn't see. There's sea all around you.
Yeah, but I'm pumped. 1,000 comedians out of work, and Parker the DJ over here is trying to be one.
Right.
But I mean, what about you, Mo? Have you ever drank something that just totally ruined your cigar?
that didn't go with it, didn't kind of pair with it, right? Um, and let me say this too, because many people really don't give respect to the food that they've eaten before they smoke their cigars. They go and get the seafood or the steaks or whatever with all the seasonings and everything in it, and you come right out of that, go and fire up a cigar. That's why it's very good to always rinse your mouth out, a little
Clean your
water, a
palate.
little seltzer water, whatever it is. Get that extra out and kind of start new. If you piggyback off of a meal and smoke a cigar, it's you're gonna taste it in your cigar, and sometimes it don't go right, you know. So I can't say I've ever destroyed the taste of something, but I've had hella stuff that didn't register right.
I'm a light smoker myself, so I'm a big sissy when it comes to smoking. I'm not like these three sitting here.
Hmm.
Um, we had a Super Bowl party here, and there was probably about 50 or 60 of us in here, and I was sitting here What was I smoking?
You're smoking an LFD double Ajero.
That's one of Therese, the owner of Whiskey and Six
It was
here.
about that
And-
long of a stick.
And it's a big boy. And
7 by what, 54?
Yeah,
Yeah, it was 7 by 54 at least.
And it was a good cigar, but sitting around, 50, 60 people that were smoking, I got lightheaded real quick, started sweating. Third quarter, I ended up jetting.
Listen,
I don't know what it was, but
they call that cigar the digger for a reason.
it lit me up. I don't know. The cigar was fine.
Claiming
I think
bodies.
it's just I got too much nicotine in me. I guess gave me a nicotine buzz, but I had my sleeves rolled up. We had the doors open, and I was sweating like crazy.
So Mo will contest to this also. The reason we were sitting here, you were telling me that, I kept telling you to grab you a Coke, or, the reason is you're always told that if you start to get that feeling, to grab you a Coke or take sugar and put it under your tongue.
Mm-hmm.
And Mo, you can probably go into more detail why that is, what that does.
I think it's all scientific. Chocolate is a good thing to always have, and I know a few people that they can't even come here with their cigars and not have chocolate. But it just kind of reset your palate for whatever reason. It's the same thing with me. Was sitting in here with CL the other day, and so shout out to my brother. He has a newfound passion with the Cuban coffee. Whether you're doing iced Cuban coffee or that hot with the froth, it's something about that Cuban coffee, man. When you smoke it with a cigar, it just opens it all up. It's comparable to. I know you say you're not as strong as a cigar smoker as us, but you'll see us retro hell, and many people don't. I was always told retro hell definitely in the beginning of your cigar, towards the middle, towards the end, but that retro helling just allows you're just treating your whole palate.
is that where you smoke it? You smoke it, and then it comes out through your nose.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. See, I grew up around. My whole family were smokers, and I wasn't a smoker. I hated it, but I can stand a cigar. A cigar smoke. And I like smoking on a cigar because it tasted a lot better than a cigarette. But
Yeah.
I cannot be around my family when, we're playing cards or something like that, and you get a bunch of people smoking. It just, I don't know. And a lot of times I'll get like that nicotine, and I'll start getting the sweats, but I enjoy it.
You sure that's because of the nicotine?
I don't know. I guess I'm inhaling.
Well, let me ask you this: do you have those same feelings when you're outside?
No.
So it may be the enclosed area of that brick and mortar. we smoke a lot outside when I first came here with you all. And I love my brick and mortars all over. I'm that guy that will get to a city. I cut the TV on in my phone near a cigar lounge to me. I'm gonna go to a lounge. I'm gonna support. Um, but it's something about sitting outside with the fresh air blowing, and you smoking cigars, and you're enjoying your cigar, not getting hit so much with the second hand because of all of the fresh air and everything out there. So you may not have those issues.
Yeah, I think it was the
Maybe like
different
me.
flavors, like everybody smoking different cigars, and it was just
And all hitting you at once.
because I'm
It's a
fine
big-
in here when there's just a few of us in here, but
But when it's a
you
house
know,
full,
when it's a
you
house
start
full,
There was a
feeling
lot
it.
of smoke in here that day.
Yeah.
I mean, even it was not as cold as it has been, but we had to open the door a couple times, and it got a little brisk. But
Yeah.
it got smoky in here. I mean, this point we have great ventilation in this lounge, but you know sometimes you have, and it don't matter where you go. There's a lot of lounges that have very good ventilation, but if you get enough people in there, enough smoke, which as we say that, one of the gentlemen's actually going to open the door because it's getting pretty hazy in here right now.
so a lot of you guys are saying that you're hearing static in there. That's actually the ventilation system. We're sitting right underneath
Oh yeah.
the ventilation, so you're hearing that, and it has a little bit of effect. I think that's why it's coming through your microphone, Tom, because you're sitting directly underneath it. But these ventilation systems are like hospital ventilation systems. So if you ever went to the hospital and you've seen them, it actually filters the cigar smoke and then blows it back out.
It takes this cigar smoke in, and there's a atomizer inside there, and what it does is it purifies the smoke, and then it pushes back
Push
out
it
clean
back
air,
out.
clean air back out.
Yep.
So, gentlemen,
Let me say something. I want to go back to Val's earlier question. I've been listening to the gentleman here, but I was also pondering from when I went occasional to it being like a pastime for me. And I would say this. I mean, I don't know if there are any new folks out there who are either thinking about smoking or ask the question, you know, why is it such a big thing now? Why are so many folks smoking? I would tell you, I mean, just with this lounge alone, and many lounges just like that. I've had a similar experience any lounge I've gone to. I think I went from probably smoking, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 cigars a month, or maybe every other month, to smoking every week. And I would tell you it's really because of the peace of mind that you get from being able to sit down for an hour. Takes about an hour. If you're smoking a cigar in 20 minutes, you're doing it wrong, or you're smoking the wrong cigar. But it gives you about an hour.
That's right.
Sit down and get your thoughts together. I mean, really deep thoughts. Thinking about what you're going to do with your family, what you're going to do at work, what you're going to do on the weekends, what you're going to do aspirationally.
Absolutely.
I've seen people come in and sit down and talk to people about buying a house, and they bought houses after they've done that here in this lounge.
Yep.
I've seen people contemplate starting a business, and they've started a business. I've seen people come in and talk about heavy family issues, the things that are going on. And so we end up talking more about those things, and this cigar is really in the background, you know, and it's keeping you seated though for about an hour
It is.
to talk about real stuff
Yeah.
that we all go through. And you talked about commonality. I would say we all have a lot of things in common. I mean,
Yeah.
you think people concentrating on you, people are concentrating on themselves. They're concentrating on what they have going on in their life. And so many times I've come in, I've sat down thinking I'm going to be to myself, I'm going to smoke a cigar. I'm still smoking a cigar. I may still have a beverage, but I'm talking about things, I'm working out things with guys like you, ladies like the ladies that are part of our lounge, and man, it gets me through.
Yeah.
It gives me perspective. It gives me a plan. It helps me put together a plan. So if you're thinking about it, I would end it by simply saying it gives you peace. Most of the people who are walking in here, I think the platform that we all have in common more than anything is, man, we're just trying to get an hour of peace.
That's it.
Is that
That's
fair?
it. That's
fair?
more than fair. You may have heard me, and I've said this to so many people, different states, but people will walk in. First off, I think it's a thing for me, whether I own this lounge or not, to speak to people as they're coming in. 'Cause you never know what people are going through.
That's right.
But I've told many of people, oh my God, yep, this is where you need to be. You look like you need this cigar.
That's right.
And the first thing they say is, man, you have no idea. Come on, sit down. And the beautiful thing is, 20, 25, 30 people in here, 15 people may have gone through exactly what you went through last week.
That's right.
And it gives you a little perspective. So there is a little bit of a psychology in what you receive in here. But it's everything is when you're in a real lounge, and lounge owners, this is something, as a lounge owner, I will say it comes from the top. You push that agenda. That we're not going to have the BS. Everyone has an opinion about politics, our president, church, all kinds of things. But there are certain things we just choose not to speak on in here because that's personal. But in here, it's about the camaraderie. It's about, years ago, people said, we go and play some golf. And golf was always fun to me. Then I messed around and I went to a lounge in Maryland. And this place is called Renditions. So what they do at this golfing place is some of the best holes from Augusta and all the different holes, they replicate it there at Renditions in Bowie, Maryland. So while you're out there, you got the young lady come in, let me fill you up, your cooler. Cooler? I got a cooler on this car? Oh shit. It's really gonna get down now. And some about the grass and all that stuff. But you don't necessarily have to go out to play golf or anything like that. You get all that right in here. You really do.
One thing I did like about this lounge when I first come here with Tom as a guest is when I walked in here, everyone greeted me, everyone shook my hand, like I was family.
Absolutely.
And as I went to different lounges and hung out with Tom more, it's like that,
Mm-hmm.
You might not know any of them, but you greet them when you come in and you greet them when you leave. And, I like that brother sisterhood. I really
That's
do.
right.
Well, I can say this, and the gentleman I was talking about, he's sitting in here. When we first started hanging out up at another lounge here in town, there's a gentleman who used to be a very big part of this community. Some of us know him. His name is Roger Haley. He was city manager for many, many years in this area and did a lot of things. As I would sit there, I would notice that when people would walk in, as you just said, Mo, he would greet them. Other people would be in their phones or doing whatever. But he always, no matter what he was doing, he would look up from his iPad or what he was doing, and when they would walk out the door, he would say, have a good day. Good to see you. Thanks for coming in. He was very...
Absolutely.
He was one of those people that we're talking about, to where he made you feel like family, whether you were just grabbing and going or hanging out. He made you feel that way.
And everybody abuses Tom, as Michael says.
Yes, but I've gotten used to it over the years. I had to.
Yeah, it's not just CL's job to speak to everyone. You know, we're a community. You know, and we're talking brotherhood and sisterhood in here, and just speak to people. You never know what that'll do. That talk people off the ledge just in itself. It's like, man, I didn't know these people.
So, how do we become a member? You know, if someone off the street or someone's watching and wants to become a member, they ask, right?
That's right.
That's right. You just come. I mean, you know, anybody's welcome here at Whiskey and Sticks. You could come in. Of course, it's a private members lounge. But if you come in, they charge $25, or you can buy 2 cigars. Come in, hang out with us, and if you'd like to become a member, there's several of us that are members. If the owner's, if Teresa's not around, which usually he's right there with us, hanging out with us, smoking a cigar.
That's right.
If you'd like to become a member, when you first walk in, there's a little plaque behind you on the wall that lists all the different levels of members. We'd love to have you. Come
That's
on.
right.
We've got lockers, and we're in the process of expanding, so it's going to be a lot larger and have a walk-in humidor, lots of great things. So come in and hang out with us.
Yeah.
We host events. I mean, just recently we had the Scottish Highland Society in here, and they did some
yeah.
cocktails.
Very strong with scotch.
I mean, I try, you know, me being Scottish and liking a lot of different scotch.
Mm-hmm.
I tried, you know, what was that called, Len? Do you remember?
Huh.
There was like 3 scotches in one, I think.
Oh yeah, I can't remember the name, but
You asked me
so
what to
many
get.
choices.
And there was, I mean, they brought in like 3 tables full of nothing but different cocktails, and, you know, just sitting back listening to, you know, the way they do things, you know, was kind of nice, you know, and sipping on different cocktails, and we had different people coming in, and it was just a good time.
It is. Always a good time.
So I know we got some events like throughout the week. You come in and do a cigar exchange. So,
Yeah, so if you're on Facebook and you go to, Whiskey and Sticks is on Instagram and Facebook. If you go on there, Treese, the owner, is very good at putting, usually on the weekends, he'll put out what he's got going on in the week, whether it's a private deal or the Scottish Highland Society that Parker just talked about, whether it's the cigar exchange, whether it's a sports game night. There's a gentleman that comes in here. He has a group sometimes that if you want to see the new indoor golf of the Tiger Woods that they're doing, he gets a group together on certain nights, and you can hang out and have a cigar and watch that.
That's right.
Watch golf, basketball. You're more than welcome to come in and do whatever you want to do here. There's 2 TVs in the main room, and then, you know, if you happen to become a member or if you come in with a member, there's a VIP lounge. You know, if you want to kind of go in there and hang out and have an event, that's available too. Just come in and hang out and
That's it.
feel your way through, and like I said, we'd love to have you.
That has been a very, very strong thing for me. Hearing people come in, and I always hear CL say, "So how did you hear about us?" Oh, Google or Facebook or whatever it is. And they come in, and many guys come in with their wife, and I that's a beautiful thing for me. A couple that smoke together, stay together. But they come in, and wifey may not be a cigar smoker. You know, like my wife, she's not a avid cigar smoker, but she'll come in, and we get a couple of cigars, and she'll enjoy cigars, and just to say that she came with me, and then she say, "Okay, baby, I got a couple of malls I gotta go to."
and then some guys just like to come in here to get away from it. No.
Yeah, and sometimes you have that. Sometimes you have that.
Well, it's like there's a lounge that I used to go to in Franklin Brentwood area, and there are a lot of divorced gentlemen, and they're single men. So they'd make the joke that this is the single bachelor's daycare. Or as I've heard, there was actually a sign one time I was at a lounge and it says "Daddy Daycare." You know,
Daddy daycare.
husband daycare. I've seen different
Hilarious.
ones. Leave. It says there's actually one I went to. It said "Husband Daycare." Leave your husband here while you go shop, and we'll take care of
We'll
them.
take care of them.
So, tell us a little bit about some blues, Tom. Let's talk a little bit of music.
Well, it depends on what kind of blues you want to talk about. I mean, Mo can chime in as well, but blues music has been around for many, many years. Came from Mississippi, and then you had a very different sounding blues that came out of Louisiana, which formed out of Dixieland jazz. And that also became what we know now as jazz, which you hear a lot of blues and jazz in a lot of lounges.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the greats. I mean, one that blows my mind that is still on tour to this day at his age and recently got a Grammy for the movie Sinners is Buddy Guy.
Man, listen.
He's still going, and he's in his 80s. I mean, it's still going strong.
87-ish.
Walking through Vegas with his guitar, meeting and greeting people, playing that guitar while he's walking. I mean, he's probably one of the last of that breed of fathers of bluegrass.
Yeah.
I mean, there are others that are still out there. I mean, one of the greats we lost was B.B. King, but Buddy Guy, I mean, is still just going strong.
Yeah, Buddy is a monster.
Before we
really
started, Treason here was playing some Muddy Waters, you know, another good one that came from Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
So blues is a big part of music. Like when you go to I can't tell you how many lounges you go to. Like there's a gentleman who used to have a lounge here in the area. He's still big in the cigar industry. He's a very dear friend of Mo and I think Lynn's met him a couple of times, and he's good friends with Treese, is Mr. Julian Griffin. He had a lounge in Nolansville called Battleground Cigars, and he had enough room in there, and he would actually he had a blues band that would come in and play.
4-piece, come and sing. Yeah.
And then when he ended up getting the other lounge down in Columbia in the house, he had a gentleman that would come in and sit there and play blues guitar, and I'm drawing a blank on his name. So it's very popular.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of your classic rock came from blues, like ZZ Top.
Absolutely.
You know, that riff.
Rolling Stones. I mean,
Billy
there's
Gibbons.
Well, yeah,
But this is why you know, we do this a lot. We'll put up YouTube and play some of like the Buddy Guy and the old BB. You'll see BB on stage with a bunch of people who play guitar. So I knew this guy was a monster on the rock side. I didn't know he played blues. Talking about Slash.
Oh, Slash.
Oh, yeah.
If you are, listen, he embodies music, not just one genre. You could put him in and just let him go. Just let him go, man.
Well, it's funny you say that, Mo, because one of the greatest rock and roll bands of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Most of us only know their songs like Start Me Up, Brown Sugar. If you're a Rolling Stones fan,
Mm-hmm.
so before our next podcast, this is what I want a lot of y'all to do that are listening if you like music and cigars. Of course, Keith Richards doesn't smoke cigars. He smokes something else, but we won't get into that. Go back.
Cigar.
Go back, whether it's Spotify, Apple Music, or whatever your choice, Pandora, and look up some of the early Rolling Stones albums when they first started out, before they really made it big, when they were over in Europe. You will hear it was mostly covers, but after you go past those cover albums, their very first album, if you listen to it, and you still are to this day, and a lot of the music, especially when Keith really gets to playing, you'll hear a lot of blues inspiration on all their music.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a documentary with Keith Richards, and the interviewer is actually asking him, why is your guitar so blues oriented? And he says, a lot of people don't know this, but when Mick and I were first starting out, we still had the Rolling Stones. We were coming to United States. We were going to these areas where there's a lot of music, trying to get influence and listening to the people that we had heard over there.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the biggest influences in my life that I met was in Muscle Shoals, a good old boy from Mississippi, who taught me the blues guitar was Muddy Waters. I mean, Keith literally says Muddy Waters was a big inspiration, which is why you listen to some of our later albums. I mean, even though I played blues guitar, if you listen, he said, you'll hear a lot of Muddy Waters style. I mean, it's my own style, but it's that blues infusion into our music. Like you said, ZZ Top, he started in Texas. Billy Gibbons and Frank Baird were big blues fans.
Absolutely.
Yes, they were. Well, they played that, I think, a Stratocaster, and
Yes.
it's all in the pickup.
Yeah.
There's two or three different pickups in there, and a lot of the pickups were like the blues pickup,
Blues
and then
and
more
blues.
of your electric.
Yep.
Well,
Your
and you and I
electric
were
style.
listening to it on the road while we were traveling. You were talking about going to the lounges with me. We were listening to a gentleman who is a blues rock and roll artist who is a child prodigy and was actually playing with B.B. King when he was 6 years old, and that's Joe Bonamassa, who is just a phenomenal, not just blues, but he's got other bands. You know, he's got the couple of other bands that he does just rock, and then he's got another band that he does kind of like jazz funk, grand funk jazz. So that's another one that took his inspiration over the years and incorporated it into music. And he actually smoked cigars too.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, music is a very strong part of our cigar culture.
And
Very strong.
you know, we're sitting in one of the greatest. We're sitting in one of the greatest areas of music. For those of you that are younger, and you may have studied this, people always ask me, because my grandfather and my dad were in the music industry, and a lot of people ask me, why is Nashville known as Music City, USA? And the reason is because you had Western swing and cowboy music coming from Texas. You had the Bakersville sound out of California. You had bluegrass coming out of Kentucky and West Virginia and Virginia. You had Dixieland and jazz coming up from Louisiana. You had blues coming out of Mississippi and Memphis. And the reason it's called Music City, USA is because Nashville, if you look at it on a map and you look where all this music came from, whether it came from Florida, the Cuban music, and Spanish music from Mexico, and
It's right in the
anywhere it
middle.
came from, Nashville is dead center. So it became the hub for all this
Of
music.
music,
Now,
yep.
a lot of people think country music started in Nashville. It did not. Country music actually started in,
Texas.
no,
wasn't it?
Bristol, Tennessee.
Bristol.
Bristol, Tennessee.
Country music, Bristol, Tennessee is the home of country music. But it all came here to Nashville. And the reason country music became popular here in Nashville was because of a thing called the barn dance, the WSM barn dance. Thomas F. Ryman was a riverboat captain who traveled all over was a captain on boats that traveled all over the world. He went to England and to Europe and saw these tabernacle churches. And he was a big fan from the U.S., and he was from the Nashville area, and he thought, man, the acoustics in these tabernacle churches is amazing. What if I went back and I built a tabernacle type church so you can hear that sound? Which, if you look at the Ryman, you look at the architecture, and you look at some of the architecture of the inside, it's built like a tabernacle church.
Very
Which the Ryman Auditorium is one of the only theaters in the United States that you can sit on stage and not plug in a single instrument, and you can hear every instrument no matter where you sit in that whole building. So when they built the Grand Ole Opry House, which they do the Opry now, they did the same thing. Now it's a little bit bigger, so they do have to plug some electric in. But they use the same premise to where no matter where you sit in that auditorium, you can hear every instrument when they're playing.
And if you've never heard a concert at the Mother Church, you need to go. The Ryman,
Cheating yourself.
oh my goodness. Tom wasn't lying when the acoustics, it's amazing. And anywhere you sit in the place, you can see good because it's got theater seating. And I believe it was a church.
Yes, for a
Back
long
in the day, right?
back in the day, Thomas F. Ryman came back, and it was the Mother Church, and he had a lot of choirs singing in there. And then the WSM barn dance, obviously named that for a reason because it was in a barn. They were getting a lot of people.
Now, that was the second or third location of the Opry, wasn't it?
That was the second location.
Second. I thought
So it was the WSM. I don't know where where all they did it before that, but it was called the barn WSM barn dance, WSM radio. It was barn dance and started out in barns. That's why you see a lot of these old, if you go look old country music videos, you see people like Jim Reeves and different people walking where there's hay and it looks like you're in a barn. That's the reason that is. And then they went to the Ryman, and then of course they built the Opry House because they were building the Opryland theme park. So they wanted something there to add to, and that's why they built the theme park there.
You know what? I miss the theme park.
I do too. Well, you know, Jeff Bergotsky is getting ready. He just approved. We're getting to have another country music themed theme park here in the Nashville area. He got it approved. Now he's just looking for the land.
I remember as a kid going over there and then going to the water park across the street.
Yeah. What's it called? I just drove by the other day. Wave Country.
Yes.
We know they're still there. We got Wave Country now, and Opryland now has what's called Nashville. No, that's Nashville Shores on Percy Priest, but inside the Opryland Hotel, they actually have one that is an indoor water park.
Ooh.
But I think that for a while they were letting you get passes where you could go, but I think you have to be staying at the hotel.
So that Opryland, is that over towards like the cabins?
It's over off of Briley
There's
Parkway,
like a
McGavick
Dollar
Pike.
General, something out there too, right?
Yeah. Yeah, Briley Parkway.
Off of McGavick Pike.
Well, they got the mall there now. Where
Which if you like music, and if you like music and you want to go over there and hang out inside the mall itself, you've probably heard of the Madame Tussauds Wax Museum, which is popular over the world. Nashville is unique at the Opry Mills Mall because they made it unique like none like any other. So when you go to all the Madame Tussauds, you see presidents, actors, all different kinds of celebrities, the king, the royalty. The one in Nashville is strictly music artists only.
That's what's up.
You know, and I started seeing more genres playing at the Opry and stuff. I never really seen that. You know, I always seen country, but the more and more you, what do I want to say? Today, there's metal bands playing in there now. I've never seen a metal band playing at Grand Ole Opry. It's always been honky tonk, country.
Yeah, so that goes back to what we were talking about earlier. The reason that they bring other artists in to be a part of the Opry is because country music was derived from all different types of music. We were talking about the Bakers. So Dwight Yoakam was out in California, was a big fan of Merle Haggard, and where he was originally from, he was heard hillbilly. So he took his hillbilly country sound and ended up mixing it with the Bakersfield sound and making his whole new sound.
Wow.
Marty Stewart, fan of hillbilly, grew up playing bluegrass mandolin with Lester Flatt and Earl Scruggs. So he took bluegrass and mixed it with hillbilly country, which is why the song he had Hillbilly Rock, the Rock and Roll Cowboys. And now if you listen to his band, the Fabulous Superlatives, you hear that surf billy guitar with a bluegrass twist to it.
Oh, very nice. Michael was saying the indoor Opryland Hotel is Waves.
Yes, thank you. It's
Waves.
Sound Waves. Thank you,
Yes.
thank you, Michael.
So yeah, just a little history, you know, in the Nashville area. We're actually home of MTSU. We're here in Middle Tennessee. So I know Tom's a native here from.
Born and raised.
I don't know about Lynn. Lynn, are you born and raised here in?
No, I'm from upstate New York, but I grew up in, ironically enough, I grew up in North Florida, South Georgia. And I'll tell you, the interesting thing I had about Nashville is I moved here about 20 years ago. And I remember telling my dad that I was moving to Nashville, and he had a moment. Because my dad he'll be 81 this year, born in 1945, and grew up in South Georgia. And what he told me is that, and I don't know if you guys knew this, but Nashville had the only signal for all of Georgia, all of Florida, really the Southeast, maybe beyond that, but
It was WSM, right? Wasn't that the?
Nashville
main-
had the only signal. And
Wow.
so anybody listening to the radio or anything like that in all these other states,
Yeah, it's the first 750-watt radio station. You can hear it
all over the country on a clear day.
And so that was the music they knew. If it was on
Yeah.
the radio, any whether they were from Mississippi, whether they were from Alabama, whether they were from Georgia, Florida,
They got that
they
hit
would come
right there.
record here because this was the signal. And so a lot of people got their start by having their record or their track or their song recorded and played here first.
So it's funny you say that because Nashville was the big hub, but the biggest hub in Tennessee where everybody was coming to was in Memphis, which was where Johnny Cash got his start, Elvis Presley, Jumpin' Gene Simmons, Carl Perkins, Jerry Lee Lewis, Charlie Rich. I mean, the list is endless. Sam Phillips formed Sun Records, which is still there in Memphis. So they were coming to Memphis to be on Sun Records, which was rockabilly country, and then they would come on to Nashville and do, country, rock and roll, whatever, rockabilly. It just all came together. But
So-
Tennessee was the hub.
So Elvis and Johnny Cash were the first two white guys to actually play on Beale Street. B.B. King actually invited them in, and then that's how they got their deal with Sun Records, and started playing down there.
Which is why when you watch the Elvis movie with Austin Butler, did an amazing job. When you see him, I've got smoke in my eyes. We need to play Frank Sinatra, Smoke in My Eyes. Which is when you see the Elvis movie, you see Elvis going downtown in his Cadillac, and he pulls up, and a lot of the blues owners or bouncers, whatever it is, they end up actually letting him in the back door and get him on stage to sing the blues because he grew up around that. He grew up in Mississippi and he loved the blues, so they would sneak him in the back door, and they all knew him. I mean, that was truth.
Well, we could sit here and talk all day, but we don't want to keep you guys too long. We appreciate Lynn for joining us.
Absolutely.
Yes.
As we do this more often, we're going to have, other members join us here at the lounge and, kind of just pick their brain like we're doing tonight. We really,
CL.
you know what? He's
Yeah, where are you hiding at, CL?
Where you hiding at, CL?
back in the VIP.
I'd offer you a cigar, but Lynn...
Next time, bro.
All right. I was going to say I'd offer you a cigar, but Lynn smoked yours, so I'll have one for you next time.
He brought out a purple hat that I really liked that had a cigar on it, and I was like, "Oh, you gonna wear that tonight?" But
Indeed.
yeah, we plan to do this more often, where we go around to different lounges. Whiskey and Sticks being our home lounge, so we plan to start a Jukes and Smokes, hub to where we can go on there, and you guys can go on there, like maybe a Discord or something like that,
And
as we
ask
grow.
questions. If you have any questions you want to ask us.
I would implore, we're getting everything set up, and I know this is our initial pilot today. No question is a bad question. Part of this thing is, what we spoke about is, I hate that there's so many people that have so many experiences in this cigar industry and just choose not to share. You are, as a coach, you're only as good as your team. So
100%.
when you're in the brick and mortar, the more people you can educate. And I think that's where some of the disconnect is. We do have a lot of people who smoke cigars to kind of keep up with the Joneses. I'm gonna smoke a cigar because my boy is smoking one. But they're not taught the right way. Even down to how to properly light your cigar. Small things. So, those are some of the nuances that I want to I want us to make sure that we touch base on, and
So
any questions, anything. We don't know everything, but we help you just like people in the industry talk to us and help us.
So tune in next time, because Mo's going to give a demonstration on
That's right.
how to cut a cigar, how to light a cigar, and then Tom will smoke it. No, I'm just
We can all sit here and do it through the camera. We can all sit here and do the proper cut and light. Do different cuts. You know, one of us can do a punch, one of us can do a V cut, one of us can do a straight cut.
I preferably like the punch, which is just a little hole on the end. I know you probably can't see that, but some like the little V cut.
I just take my finger and just pop it off.
Or if you're like my
That's me.
grandfather, you just bite the end of it off.
Yeah, it works.
But well, we appreciate you all tuning in. A big shout out to our sponsors.
So our sponsors for this obviously is Whiskey and Sticks because we're in his
Absolutely.
lounge.
Appreciate you, CL.
Yeah.
We were smoking today, of course, Casa Cuevas cigars and Atomic cigars, and are definitely our main sponsors. Of course, Parker's Unique Beats, and then of course my entertainment company, which is Rockstars Entertainment Productions. We want to thank Lynn, of course, again for sitting in with us. We appreciate you sitting in with us, Lynn, and giving your 2 cents.
It's an honor.
My
I want
guy.
to thank my co-host.
Even though he's a Philly fan, he's a good dude.
Go Birds.
We won't hold that against
Oh
him.
my
We won't
goodness.
hold it against him.
Want to
You know,
thank.
he comes up missing when Philly's not doing that well.
Yeah, I noticed that. When the Phillies aren't playing well in the lounge, when the Eagles aren't playing well, he's at home
Yeah, I have to
crying.
grab my old badge and put an APB out on this guy or something, man. Make sure he's still breathing.
And then you come in and ask us, "Hey, how'd your Eagles do?" He's like, "I don't want to talk about it."
You
I
know,
don't want to talk about it.
I'm from Indiana, northern Indiana, so we didn't have a major league team. So I like the Braves. I'm a Atlanta Braves fan.
Okay.
Well, you know, growing up here in Tennessee, I mean,
So
I was
you're
Braves
from
too.
Indiana.
Yeah, born and raised. Northern Indiana, Elkhart, South Bend,
Oh, I know where you are.
East Chicago area. Yeah.
I'm-
So,
Born and raised in Flint, Michigan.
oh yeah, 2 Northerners.
But like Parker said, we appreciate you all tuning in. I want to thank my my partners in crime, my co-host, of course, Parker here to my right, and then to his right, probably to y'all's left, Parker, and of course Mo, who has been a very dear friend of mine and been a very big influence, one of my influences in the cigar industry that I met back in the day and has taught me a lot, and then we've shared some great camaraderie together over the years on podcasts. So appreciate you being a part of this, Mo.
Thanks to you as well, brother. This is the quintessential iron sharpens iron. You know, when people are able to have conversations like this and just stay sharp. I love it. Absolutely love it.
So we'll end on this. If the good Lord's will and the creeks don't rise, we'll have another podcast. And one more thing, we're rooting for you. Keep your stick on the ice.
That's right.
Keep talking.
Oh, you want me to keep talking? I just ended. You want me to keep talking?
Keep talking.
Oh, you want me to keep talking?
Good to go.
Thank y'all for joining in. And now we end on this.
Y'all good, Lynn?
Absolutely, man. It's cool. Y'all got a good thing, man. It's good. You did it.
Cuevas is getting.
Stories don't pull punches. Hanging with Mo Parker and Tom T. And we're here to light up smoke, spin tunes, and share the life that plays by no one's rule. Welcome to the ride.